Guys, here we go. On the agenda for today, we're going to solve one problem 4 different ways. First by graphing, that's piece of cake. Then by factoring, that's piece of cake. And then completing the square and quadratic formula, brand new. Brand new. All right, here we go, by graphing. This should take approximately 1 minute. Check this out, check it out. We're going to graph it. And then we're going to look at the picture. See that? Woo! Love that picture. I'm going to draw a quick sketch of this. We're going to talk about what it is that we're looking for. Everybody knows what we're looking for, right? The roots. The roots. The roots are right here. And that's what we're going to go looking for. So let's draw a little picture of them. Just to make sure so everybody understands what it is we're talking about. Right, there's our grid. Here's our graph. And the answer to this graph are these right here. These are the roots. These are the roots. Okay, so let's go find the roots. Find these. These are the answer. Find the roots. What's up? No, I think she just called me fat, told me I was in the way. But that's okay. That's okay. We could do this. Let's find the roots. So check it out. So like, it's hard to spot them on the graph. So I'm going to go into my table of values. Now take a look at this, right? You see there's a 0 right here? If there wasn't a 0 here and there was like a letter here, what letter would it be? Y. And so what did I replace Y with? I replaced Y with 0, so that's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go into my table of values and go look where there's a 0 for the Y. So if there's a 0 for the Y, guess what X is? And guess what the answer is? Yeah, one of the answers is 2. It's that easy. Oh my God. Love this way of solving stuff. Love it when it works. Let's go find the other one. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, look at that. 2, -5. Love that piece of cake, and we're done. All right, so we got part B. Part B is also a piece of cake. Let's factor this bad boy. Factor it up. Factor it up. We got to find. So what does it break up into? Positive 5x and minus dos. And then if we're going to show out all of our work, we're going to solve it, right? We set everything in parentheses, each of the parentheses equal to 0, and then we solve our lives away. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to solve this. Look at this. Check this out. It's cool, huh? Love doing this. I find this very relaxing and peaceful. Oh, it's great. It's wonderful. Oh. Having a real stressful day, you know what I do? I solve quadratics. Check this out. How cool. How cool. Look what happened. Look what we got. We got the same answers. Up. Isn't it nice how everything always works out? Time for completing the square. A little intro to completing the square that we're going to need also for quadratic formula is that we got to list out what these are, right? You see these numbers in front? First of all, numbers in front of variables are called what? They are called coefficients. What about numbers by themselves, like 10? It's called a constant. Okay? And when they're in quadratic formulas, right? Not quadratic formulas. When they're in quadratics, we're gonna denote them by letters just so we can tell the difference. A, B, and C. Now, let's do step 1 of completing the square. I'm gonna write it down in a minute. Hold on. Guys, so we gotta get x's on one side and constants on the other, and that's step 1 of the of completing the square. Step 1 of completing the square. So let's do this. This is going to be easy. Easy. Guess what I'm going to do? I am going to add 10 because 10's a constant. 10 doesn't change. Okay, so we get 10 equals 1x squared plus 3x. How easy is that? That's step 1. Piece of cake. We're on our way. Do. Step 2. Step 2 is to add b over 2 squared to each side. What do I mean by this? I will show you now. Okay, we're going to add, so here we go. We're going to add 3 divided by 2 squared to this side, and then we're going to add 3 divided by 2 squared. Oh, computer, don't fail me now. Exactly. Come on. 3 divided by 2 squared to this side.
If you do it to both sides.
Yeah, we got to do it to both sides because of that big equal sign right there. Where did I get that 3 from? Yeah, the ABC. Remember I said you got to take B, you got to divide it by 2 and square it and add it to both sides. That's just what we do. Okay, so now let's use our calculator and let's figure out what all this nonsense comes to. Okay, so that's what we got when we added 3 divided by 2 squared to both sides. Now on the right side I kept it as a fraction because that's how I like to do these problems. And on the left side I transformed it into a decimal because it was easier to look at it. But if you want to keep them as fractions or keep them as decimals, that's fine. Doesn't really matter. All right, we're approaching step 3. Okay, you ready for this? They don't call this completing the square for nothing. And so here we go. The first side, the side on the left stays the same. Now this is going to be a pattern that emerges over and over again. And you're probably going to think I'm crazy, but it turns out that this stuff on the right over here is a perfect square. And that's why it's called completing the square. Perfect square. That means when you try and factor it, you're going to get the same stuff in parentheses, right? Because that by definition is a perfect square. We got x's, we got x's. Now, it's got to be the same stuff in parentheses. So what do you think we're going to have at the end? Hint, 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 hint. Hint, 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 hint. Plus 3 over 2. It's going to be b over 2 that's over here. That's for the difference of 2 perfect squares. But this is a perfect square, right? Now this one's artificially hard because it's fractions. But just take a note. If you get fractions at the end, okay, it's originally what you added to both sides. All right? We down it's 1.5. Oh, this is all part C. That's why we're only doing 4 problems today. Right? So now I don't like writing it like this, and I'm gonna show you why. Because it's better when you rewrite it like this. Oh. So it's a pattern. Whenever you have fractions in this problem, that's always the case. If you get to this last step where it's like factor, and you're like, I don't know, that's way too hard. If there's fractions involved in the problem at the end, it is always going to be this that you put in parentheses. Not the squared part, just the b over 2 business. And we're going to practice this more tomorrow. Tomorrow's all about 47 minutes of completing the square. Yes, get excited, right?
No. Yeah.
Guys, step 4 is solve for x. How do we get rid of a squared? Square root. And I'm going to show you something. People are going to get real confused. So if we took the square root of both sides, we'd have to do plus or minus square root of 12.25. Is anybody real confused why plus or minus? Real confused. Okay, side note. Suppose I have x9 equals x squared. What's the answer to that problem? 3 and negative 3. And so to try and make us remember that, we say that x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 9. And so x is equal to plus or minus 3. Are you down with this? You okay with that? So this is just a more complicated version of this problem down below. Same thing. Yeah. Yep. You got it? Okay, so now we're gonna solve this, right? Now all we're gonna do is subtract 3 over 2 from this side, subtract 3 over 2 from this side, cross this out. So now we get negative 3 over 2 plus or minus. What's the square root of 12.25? What is it? 3.5 equals x. By the way, if you're confused, all I did was I got that 3.5 from the square root of 12.25. And so that's really equal to, now I'm going to show out all my work, but some of you guys can move faster than me. That's negative 3 divided by 2 plus 3.5, and negative 3 over 2.2 minus, sorry, if I could write, I would write negative 3 divided by 2 minus 3.5. So now we're going to do this. If you just punch this into your calculator, this is going to be 2 equals x. And what else? What's this one? Negative 5 equals x. Oh, oh, oh my God. OMG. Guys, last part D. Quadratic formula. Quadratic formula looks like this. It's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Guys, where are all these a, b's, and c's coming from? We talked about it just a minute or so ago. Check it out. That's a, and that's b, and this is c. And then all we do is fill them into the problem. Let's do this now. All right, anyways. So there we go. That's all you got to do. You get mucho points, like mucho points, for just plugging these numbers into the equation correctly. Mucho points. Mucho, exactly. So there we go. Let's try and simplify this down. Now this business underneath the square root, we could just use our calculators for, right? That's negative 3 plus or minus the square root of, I'm going to take all this business right over here, this stuff, and we're going to plug it into our calculator because I don't feel like doing that in my head, nor should you, because you could make a mistake like 3 squared minus 4, and I'm writing this up on the smartboard to show you guys the good way to enter it into your calculator. Parentheses, 49! 49! We did no work. We got the answer. 49! We're almost done. So now we got x equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of, plus or minus 7 over 2. And then we're going to solve it, and that's x equals negative 3 plus 7 over 2. And x equals negative 3 minus 7 over 2. And so what are we going to get? Oh my God. We got the same answer again. OMG. OMG. Quadratic formula.